Guarantee of user's right. Users who use IT services have a right to self-determination. Let's find out what rights users have and how they should exercise them. Users have a right to receive information on the processing of personal information, a right to choose the consent to the processing of personal information and scope of the consent, and a right to request for reviewing, providing, correcting, and withdrawing consent. Since you have the right to receive information on the processing of personal information, you can check the privacy policy or email about personal information use sent from the business to see your personal information is being processed. You also have the right to choose to consent to the processing of personal information and scope of the consent. You are entitled to select the items between mandatory and optional choices when agreeing to personal information collection policy. Read the optional items before you give your consent. Next, you have the right to request for reviewing, providing, collecting, and withdrawing consent. You can request them through the privacy policy or other menu of Internet sites you visit frequently. There are cases that companies adopted measures to expand users' right to know recently. The next is privacy policy. You can check the privacy policy placed at the bottom of the main page of website or application that provides the purpose of collection, retention, and use period of personal information, users' rights, and contact information of the person in charge of the privacy policy. You can check the content of the privacy policy located at the bottom of the main page of websites you visit frequently. Next, check the personal information items that an Internet website collects, such as name, date of birth, Internet cookie data, location data, and payment record. Personal information is also used by Internet websites for the purpose of member management, communication between users and service provider, and providing better services. Lastly, you may contact Privacy Policy Manager or the appropriate department for further inquiries. In addition, business operators that collect and use personal information must notify users of the purpose of collecting and using personal information and collecting items, list of businesses to which personal information is provided, purpose of provision, and list of items provided and businesses co-signed for processing personal information, and purpose of co-signed processing via email or letter at least once per year. This regulation applies to businesses that have kept and managed the personal information for 3 months prior to the end of the previous year, or have more than 1 million users visiting on average, or businesses that have made more than 10 billion won in sales of information technology. The use record of personal information can be checked using the site menu or at email notification. Users have a right to request the review, provision, and correction of their personal information. How do I do that? First, log in to an Internet site you use frequently. Second, click My Page. And third, check your information. Fourth, if there is an incorrect information, click a menu to modify member information, and then Save to save the correct information. Finally, click the menu to request for the review and provision of your personal information. If you intend to know more about your personal information besides those on the site, a penalty of up to 30 million won can be charged to an operator that does not take necessary measures when a user requests reviewing the provision of personal information. The next is the withdrawal of the consent for your personal information. Users have the right to withdraw the consent for the collection, usage, and provision to third parties of their personal information at any time. Unsubscribing the membership of an Internet website can be considered as a withdrawal of consent for personal information. Let's see how to unsubscribe the membership. First, log in to an internet site you use frequently. Second, click My Page, and third, unsubscribe. Lastly, if you have more questions about personal information, contact KISA 118 Security Center at any time if you need help due to problems caused by unwanted disclosure of personal information. For example, receiving spam calls for membership and promotional texts from websites that you unsubscribed, and cases that too much personal information including name, phone number, email was disclosed in the list of winner list of a promotional event. You can use various services at the online personal information protection portal site, including introduction about personal information protection, technical supports, reporting personal information issues, education about personal information protection, and information and data archive. Now, let's learn about how to protect your personal information. When installing smartphone apps, the user should check the items that need to be accessed and the reasons for such access, and distinguish mandatory and selective access rights. This is a case of access right notification when installing a music app. You can use the service without agreeing optional items for access right. In addition, you can check the access settings of the apps. In your smartphone, go to the app setting to view the app access. Do not make a password using easy-to-guess numbers or letters, such as name, mobile phone number, and consecutive numbers, and change the password regularly. In addition, make a password with more than 8 letters using alphabet, number, and special character. Do not use, if possible, a public PC for online banking. Delete your accredited certificate installed in a public PC immediately after use, and request the bank to send an alert message to your smartphone whenever an online transaction is completed, and register your fingerprint for the activation of mobile payment. Lastly, for the purpose of preventing smishing, do not click URL links contained in suspicious text messages. Install and update regularly a vaccine program in your smartphone. Use additional services offered by telecommunication service providers, such as entering the password for secondary authentication when making a small payment. Do not forget the methods to protect your personal information that we've learned so far.